Hi, this is Jack Stanley, and amid the boxes here, I wanted to talk about something kind of interesting that I find rather fascinating, and I'm sure a lot of people have thought about it as well. The term record album. Today with the resurgence of the 33 and a third record, we have lots of people buying and selling record albums. And the old term used to be, like within the last 30 years or so, I'm going to cut an album, I'm going to make a record album, or instead of a single, a record album would be a 12-inch 33 and a third record in a sleeve. Well, my question was years ago, and lots of people's question was, that's not exactly an album, it's a sleeve. But where does the term record album come from? Let's go back in our past. Let's go back to the early days of the recording industry in the beginning of the 20th century. When you had like the Victor Talking Machine Company, the Columbia Graphophone Company, and a number of others, what they would do is create booklets with sleeves in them in which you could insert records. And those were called record albums. Very much reminiscent of a photo album, which was a booklet with many sleeves within it in which you could put photographs. And for many, many years it stayed the same until the advent of the 33 and a third microgroove record, which came out pushed by Columbia in 1948. And of course, at that point, the 33 and a third record was put into a sleeve with information on it, made of a heavy cardboard. And that became known as a record album. Now, of course, it isn't a record album, but the name just carried over. Unlike with photographs, a photo album to this day remains a photo album. If I hold up a single photograph, a big one perhaps, that encompasses a whole bunch of other pictures, we don't call it a photo album. We still call it a picture. But somewhere along the line, record album was transferred to record sleeve. And so a 33 and a third record was a record album. And of course, to this very day, we still call them record albums. An interesting thing when you think about it, where it came from and how it is carried over and how it's changed in our lexicon. It's sort of like the word decimate. Decimate has gone through many, many different changes. And even to this very day, there are scholars that beat the daylights out of each other, arguing about the meaning and relevant nature of decimate. In fact, a lot of people can't agree what it originally meant. 10%, a decimal point, this, that, blah, blah, blah. Today, people say decimated, which more or less wiped them out or whatever. But it's kind of the same way as with the record album. Words go through changes. Our definition of words go through changes. And in this more modern age, late 20th century, early 21st, a record album is indeed a sleeve and will remain a sleeve, because the days of record albums, as known back in the early part of the 20th century, are long since forgotten. Thank you.